This is Cape May, New Jersey.
I am familiar with it. I have been there before, many moons
This is one
ago.
of my favorite shirts. I've had this forever. Yeah. So that's where we are. It's that backwards cap, Cape May, New Jersey pirate shirt, drinking seltzer water. I see Kieran is as well. It's
It is mint mojito seltzer water.
Mint mojito. Well, we are coming up in the world.
We are. I have had a very not eventful, but very successful day. I've been doing a lot of 3D printing this week, and I'm testing out some paints to see how they're gonna work with various primers and stuff. And you just use plastic spoons because it gives you an idea because it's a curved surface.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. So tomorrow I'll be sanding and painting and in preparation for a Twitch cast I'm going to be on.
Oh.
Whereas me and my old gaming group from way back in the day are going to be testing out the rules to the new Marvel Multiverse role-playing game.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, my sibling Jay is going to be GMing.
Okay.
But he's going to be GMing me, Alex, Andrew, and Shaka. I don't know.
Fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, luckily, Shaka don't know the system very well, so that curtails his ass a little bit. But
is he a game lawyer? Is that what you're saying? Is he a rules lawyer?
That would be the least of his sins.
Well, so you're saying yes.
Yes.
This is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, so and it's kind of cool because it's basically the playtest rule set, which is about as thick as like a small graphic novel, and it was like $10, which honestly, to get any kind of role playing game system rules for $10, even one that's just a playtest, almost never happens. Like I've seen books come out for like 50.
Yeah,
more.
Sure. Remember when we were looking at the books for the new Dune RPG, and that was like a car payment to get started.
yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I mean, I just actually kickstarted an RPG off of from the Old Gods of Appalachia horror podcast, which they dropped an episode yesterday. I was listening to that.
Old Gods of Appalachia.
It's really good. It's essentially eldritch horror that takes place in the early 20th century in the Appalachian area of Appalachia. So you were talking like from Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way up to like Virginia, West Virginia, possibly also parts of Maryland and Pennsylvania, but they haven't talked about that. They seem to be mostly sticking to Virginia and West Virginia, and then down a bit to Tennessee as well.
All right, fair enough.
During the coal boom and the railroad boom and all that, and
peak Appalachia.
Oh, it's good.
Cool.
I highly recommend it.
All right.
Elias turned me onto that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
So tonight we have something exciting. The wonderful comedy of Mel Brooks.
Yes,
indeed.
That is the topic tonight. I was looking over at his filmography, and there are only 2 of his films that I haven't seen. And Mike's apparently seen them all but one.
Which one haven't you seen, Mike?
Life Stinks.
Haven't seen that either.
Yeah, I haven't seen Life Stinks either. That's the only one of his films that isn't a parody.
Yeah.
It doesn't break the fourth wall. Came out in 1991, and it did not do well.
No.
I don't know. I kind of was surprised to see it in the list, honestly. I don't think I'd actually even heard of it before I started doing some digging for this episode.
I remember it, and I recall it being very tonally not the kind of comedy I'm used to from Mel Brooks, so I was like, man, I'm going to give it a pass.
Yeah, it's the oddball one. So I haven't seen that, and the only other one I haven't seen is The 12 Chairs, which up until this moment I've never heard of.
I didn't even know that existed.
I don't know, it's kind of it's almost like a dramedy. I mean, it's definitely comedy, but it's more like, I don't know, I didn't really care for it. I didn't think it was as funny as many of his other films. It just was kind of...
I mean, I remember I saw parts of High Anxiety. I don't know if I've seen all of it.
I've seen all of it.
I've seen all of the Silent Movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen bits and pieces of The Producers, the original.
Yeah.
Zero Mostel.
I've seen all of that.
But, you know, Blazing Saddles is one of the first films that my parents took me to see, even before Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or maybe after Star Wars. I can't remember the exact timing. But needless to say, my parents couldn't afford a sitter, so they took me with them to R-rated movies. And,
yeah,
you know,
they took you to see Rocky Horror. You know,
they did.
We've covered this. So okay, so we're pretty well familiar with Mel Brooks's filmography, and we know most of his movies except one or two oddball ones. So we're entirely competent to discuss our favorites. We're obviously going to be talking about Blazing Saddles.
Oh yeah.
I think earlier when we were talking about vampire films, Dracula Dead and Loving It came up, which was the last movie he directed, and none of us had anything very nice to say about it at the time. But having thought about this today, I'm going to say that I think that Dracula Dead and Loving It is a better, funnier film than High Anxiety.
High Anxiety was a bit of a weird one.
High Anxiety, I'm gonna say, is the least funny Mel Brooks film that I have seen. Yeah, I don't think it made me laugh once. Dracula Dead and Loving It made me laugh once. It had one solid joke that I enjoyed a lot, and that was the gynecologist joke.
I'd have to say my three top Mel Brooks movies would have to be, of course, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I mean Blazing Saddles.
Young Dr. Frankenstein.
It's just Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein.
It's not Young Dr. Frankenstein.
Whatever. And
Igor.
Must you be so pedantic?
I must.
It is in the name. If you must, I must. And History of the World, Part 1.
Yeah, I would say that's probably everyone's favorites. If they had to put down, like, what are the top three, it's going to be those three, because those are the ones that are...
Those are, like, the high watermark, and very self-aware of what it's doing.
Yeah, and I think that's because, like, what Mel Brooks is essentially a parodist.
Yeah.
He parodies things. He parodies things from a particular point of view, and when he picks things that are universally understood, it's universally successful. Like, everybody gets what Westerns are about.
Sure.
So if you parody the Western, as he does in Blazing Saddles, everyone's going to love that. Everybody knows Frankenstein. You can do that. And History of the World Part 1 is...
Oh, history.
That's just... Yeah, it's history. Everybody knows that stuff. So I think the stuff that doesn't hit as well is the stuff that's really a lot more specific. And I think that's why High Anxiety doesn't work for me, because what it's sending up is not really something I'm familiar with. Like, I get that it's about... What would you call it?
Mostly Alfred Hitchcock that he's sending up, right?
Yeah. He's sending up Alfred Hitchcock, but he's not doing a very good job. And it comes across almost like those parody films from the 2000s, like, you know, Scary Movie. It's that level of joke. It doesn't hit. Like, whatever it doesn't work for me, because there's no universality to what he's doing. It's just like, if you know this movie, you'll get this joke.
We're silent
Remember
film.
this?
Silent movie or silent film, I can't remember what it's called.
It's called Silent Movie.
Silent Movie has one of the better jokes in that one is the only person to talk in it is Marcel Marceau to say no.
No, it's the only spoken line in the movie, and the
mime. That's genius.
That's clever. That's a good joke.
It's genius. It's just good. It's good. It's good comedy.
And they don't make a big deal about it. They just do it, and you're like, wait, what? And then it goes on. It's a silent movie about making a silent movie in the 70s, so it's very self-aware. There's a nice big chase or some whole mess of slapstick in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been forever since I've watched it, but I remember enjoying it at the time.
Well, they also did a lot of great, sort of juxtaposition in terms of like what the actors appear to actually be saying versus what the subtitles say, which was hilarious. It was just used perfectly in the silent movie. It was really funny.
Yeah.
So, what order shall we take this in, gentlemen? What should
Well, before we go into our three favorites, I want to stop for a second and talk about his directorial debut, which is The Producers.
Mm-hmm.
The original 1967 Producers. He also helped on the screenplay for the 2005 remake, and he was a producer for that, but he didn't direct it. So he produced the remake of The Producers, but he was not a producer on the original Producers. He directed The Producers.
Right on.
He didn't produce The Producers. So, I have mixed feelings about The Producers. There are some people who really like it, and it's a very clever joke, and I kind of enjoy it, but it's also one of those things where it was kind of it was built up for me, and then when I actually sat down and watched it, I found myself not enjoying it.
I have heard that to experience Producers properly, you got to see it as a stage show, not as a movie.
Interesting.
I believe that.
I've heard that certain elements that just do not translate into film as well as to watch it on stage as a live production.
Yeah.
And this may just be a case of that.
Okay. I mean,
it's been a very successful play. Like yeah.
And the musical was successful too. When they did the remake, it was a musical first, and then they made a movie out of it.
Okay.
So that was, I think, probably you're right, Kieran. Probably you're right. Like I said, it's a very clever premise. And I think the reason I don't enjoy it is because, how to put this gently. I don't like Gene Wilder that much.
Ah, okay.
Oh, well, that's fine.
I don't like him as much as other people like him, and it's because he when he gets all like worked up, his voice hits this timbre that I find like just irritating, and it sucks all the comedy out of it. Like I just want him to stop screaming, and it almost ruins bits of Young Frankenstein for me as well. Not a lot. He's a little more absurd, but in The Producers, he's just screaming constantly, and I have a hard time enjoying it as a consequence.
I remember him screaming a lot.
He does scream a lot, and it's like right in my ear and right there, and I can't find it funny. Which is a shame because it's a very clever premise. Having said all that, I do want to posit an idea here, which is that I think The Producers is, and there's no other way to say this, but I'm just going to say it. I think it's his most Jewish film.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. I could see that.
It's where the Jewishness, Mel Brooks's Jewishness, kind of takes center stage. Like both characters in The Producers, they're forthright about their Jewishness. They're making they're trying to skim the public by putting on a play about Nazis, and they have to meet with a Nazi to get the thing, and they have to wear an armband. And, when I watch it, and they're, like, walking around the streets of New York, they still have the Nazi armbands on. They're like, oh, God, we still have these things on. And they rip them off, and they throw them in the trash, and they spit on them. And I was like, huh. Like, it's a very Jewish story. And I think there's a leitmotif, a subtext to it, based on what the plot is, because the story is, we're going to put on this terrible play, this terrible musical about Hitler, and it's going to bomb, and then we won't have to pay anybody back because it's a bomb. We're so clever. We're going to do a thing about Nazis, and it's going to be a bomb, except it's not a bomb. It's a hit. They do a thing about Nazis, and it's a hit. Nazis take over Broadway. And there's something, I think, very awkward and uncomfortable, and something about being Jewish in America, where there's this motif of you don't think Nazis are going to be a hit, and then Nazis are a hit. You know, there's something going on underneath there.
Sure. That's
oh yeah, you could really really dig in on that.
You could dig in on that, because this was made in the 60s, in a time where, you know, World War II wasn't that long ago at the time.
Yeah, 20 years past, really.
20 years past. Like, the 60s were the time where they actually started doing movies with Germans, playing Germans in the World War II movies. Like, that was new in the 60s when they did Longest Day. And they had actual German actors speaking in German. Like, that was new. So, like, the memories of it were still kind of fresh. So I think that occurred to me with the producers. I don't have much else to say about it. It's one of those things that some people just absolutely love, and I've never felt terribly strongly about. Like, I saw the 2005 remake, and it's like, that was fun, but it also went on too long.
Yeah, I haven't seen the remake.
The remake's fine. Matthew Broderick and what's his name? Nathan Lane are great. They're fun. They banter very well together. You can tell that this was a Broadway play before it was a movie. It's got that kind of feel to it, and it's got a musical element. It was okay. It just went on too long. It needed to wrap it up.
It was there was some of that when Mel Brooks originally did the original cut of Young Frankenstein, and he's talked about this in interviews where they basically shot, I think it was something like it was like way longer. It was like maybe 3 hours or something.
Oh wow!
Or like 2.5 hours. Like it was much longer than the runtime, the version of the movie that we all know that became the theatrical release. And it wasn't very good at first. And he walked in, and people were kind of like, and it's because they did a screening of it, and he was like, "No, this is fine. we're gonna cut it down." And then this is like a not great however long it was, like 2.5 hour movie. But it will probably be a very funny, very good, like 1.5 hour long movie, or or whatever. And he like was, I forget what the exact time length was, but he apparently just went through this editing process, and then just like shaved the film down until it became the movie that we all have since seen. And it's one of my favorites. Like, I think it's a great Mel Brooks film, and but I mean, it was way too long initially.
It was way too long, and that kind of goes to what I was saying about Robin Hood Men in Tights when you talked about that a couple of podcast episodes ago, how like the editing was really sloppy, and it hangs on jokes after the punchline's back, and there's just a whole lot. It's just very sloppily made. So good. That makes sense to me. That means at one point Mel Brooks did know how to edit, and I think for circumstances, for one reason or another, during Robin Hood, he just wasn't able to do it, or forgot how, or...
I think it's hard to cut if you don't have, an excess of footage, and I think with Young Frankenstein, I mean, he cut, tens of minutes. Like, basically, I think he ended up cutting, like, the better part of an hour out of, the movie. So, I mean, to me, if you got the spare footage, then you can shave it down. I don't know that he necessarily had that much extra footage for Men in Tights,
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Men in Tights suffers from that Young Frankenstein does not is you've got a lot of different... He pulled from a lot of different sources from the Frankenstein mythos. You got the books, you got the Universal movies, all that. He had a lot to pull from. I mean, predominantly influenced by the Boris Karloff one, of course. Men in Tights pretty much just pulled the Robin Hood mythos almost entirely from the Kevin Costner film. And I feel, I mean, they're yeah, pretty much. And I feel that... See,
I always thought it was more the Errol Flynn movie than the Kevin Costner movie.
there is the Errol Flynn influence, certainly, but
it looks like the Errol Flynn movie. It doesn't.
It looks like Errol Flynn, but the setup of the characters is more Men in Tights because you don't have the Moorish character in any of the previous.
Any of the other ones, like Achu is a stand-up of the seas, and you know, they have the witch character,
which is also not
Tracy Ullman, which that was also
the
flick, and all
we changed it. We changed it. What it used to be, shit house.
There's good stuff in Men in Tights. There's good jokes.
But they do have Prince. They do have Prince John, who was not in the Kevin Costner flick either. So
no, and it looks like the Errol Flynn movie, and Cary Elwes is doing an Errol Flynn Robin Hood.
He is.
Yes, he's
very
not doing Costner
very deliberately. I almost kind of wish they could have talked Alan Rickman into reprising his role, but for comedic effect for that film, because
that's not a bad idea.
Wow, that would have been glorious.
That's not a bad idea. Okay, so Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles both came out the same year.
Yeah.
Like, they were finishing up doing Blazing Saddles, and I think they were working on Blazing Saddles the previous year, and it came out in that summer. And then when it doesn't say when Young Frankenstein premiered, but they both came out in 1974, and I think that's pretty much peak Mel Brooks. I think he's at the height of his powers at this moment. In both cases, sending up something that's universally known so that everyone gets it. I think with the case of Young Frankenstein, you know, when you're talking about a film like this, it's like, are the jokes there? You know, are the jokes there, and how are they being set up? And I think what makes Young Frankenstein great is that it's kind of like those hot shot movies from the 90s. Like, nobody betrays that the joke has just been said. Like, they don't bust through the fourth wall and wink at you a whole lot in Young Frankenstein. They just kind of let the joke pass through them. You know, it's that, shouldn't it be Frederick Frankenstein? Yeah. It's pronounced Igor. And they just keep the jokes going without pausing for laughter. So, like, you can watch this movie several times and pick up new gags.
It's a brain from an Abby normal, I think. You got me? An abnormal brain? Abby something. Abby normal, I think.
I ain't got no body, and nobody cares for me.
I love
Frau Blucher, and you hear the horses in the background.
The running gag of Frau Blucher, yeah, that was one of my personal favorites. Frau Blucher, and they're like, towards the end of the film, they're like, why does that always happen whenever we say this woman's name? They're like,
Blucher! That's what I'm talking about. Like, they just keep doing the joke, and like nobody really notices, and they kind of slowly notice, and they just let the audience enjoy it. And it's so great.
I love he gets stuck in the secret door, and he's like, put the book like this, yeah.
Just you know, lines that people like almost notice, but then I don't know what to say. Like, you know, talking about how big the Frankenstein monster is going to be, and Terry Garr's like, he would have an enormous Schwanzstücke, and I'm pretty sure that's not really a word, but they both just kind of like take a beat to like, what did she just say? Does that mean what I think it means? Okay, yeah, it goes without question. So Gene Wilder's a lot funnier in Young Frankenstein than he is, to me,
I think he wrote it for the most part. I think he did a lot of the writing for Frankenstein. Gene Wilder did, I believe.
Screenplay was co-written.
Yeah.
Co-written by Brooks and Gene Wilder. So that explains a lot. It's also got Madeline Kahn and
Peter Boyle.
any Mel Brooks film and Terry Garr. Any Mel Brooks film that does not have Madeline Kahn in it is a lesser Mel Brooks film, as far as I'm concerned.
I think you may have a point there. I mean, thinking
she's just so wonderful in everything that she does.
When she was Lily von Stupp, and I'm tired. Tired of being in love.
Tired of playing the game.
I'm always coming and going and going and coming.
Always too soon. Yep. She is. What is she in Young Frankenstein? She's like the doctor's fiance. She's kind of uptight, lipstick darling, taffeta darling, that kind of thing. She doesn't. Right. And you think
with, the monster?
She ends up with the monster. And it ends with her singing "Oh Sweet Mystery of Life, at Last I Found You." And kind of like paying off that enormous Schwanzstücker line without specifically calling out to it, because it's still 1974. You're only allowed to wink at these things.
Mm-hmm.
Although
it's true. It's true.
That's yeah. That was the same year. Yeah. Same year. Yeah, there's just a certain wonderful chaos to Young Frankenstein, and I think that's what makes Mel Brooks films funny, is that he's got this template of this thing that he's sending up, but beyond that, there's just madness. Why is there a musical number putting on the Ritz?
Right.
Why is that happening? Why are they dancing? Why? And the monster's like, put it on the Ritz, and it's. You're not supposed to laugh at him, but you can't help laughing at it because it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. And there's no reason plot-wise for it to be in the movie. It's just there.
Yeah.
And it's glorious.
It is.
Well, it's farcical. And I mean, that's an element of his... there's two elements to his comedy. It's one is parody, which, we've talked about, but the other one is farce. It's a farce. And it's like you said... So much of the chaos and sort of that's present in these films, in the background, you have these characters that are if they do, whenever they do mug, they're kind of they look at the camera you see this, right?
Yeah.
The pure absurdity, in Blazing Saddles, well, they wouldn't let us be in their wagon train, so we had to run the wagon around and circle by ourselves.
God. That's my favorite. All right, screw it. Let's just talk about Blazing Saddles now. Let's just do it. Let's talk about Blazing Saddles and why it's the best Mel Brooks film. Because that part that you talked about is my favorite part. And it's going to go right to what I'm talking about, because that's that whole scene where it's they wouldn't let us be part of their wagon train because we're black. So we had to do our own wagon train, circle the wagons behind ourselves, just making our own circle, which is in itself ridiculous. But all of that is just a setup for the Sioux Indians to be Jewish.
Oh, the dark of the war.
That's my favorite card, because Mel Brooks in the full of Sioux war paint, and he just looks at him, and then he just goes, Schwarzes. No, the Schweiz ain't in the shade. He's just gibbering in Yiddish at everyone, and that makes no sense at all, and is not explained in any way. The Sioux are just Jewish. He's just Jewish now. He's making these, calls to prayer out, light and gale, and it's just, there's no reason for any of this, but it kills me every time.
You wouldn't. This is something you would never see in a regular, in reality, or in a Western, right? Which is what makes it funny. It's absurd.
It's so great. It's so great, and just like you said, Karen, they're darker than us, woof, and because that's really what elevates Blazing Saddles, is that he takes this parodic concept and he makes it about something. It's his film that has something to say. It's a film about racism,
mm-hmm.
and he uses the vehicle of the Western to talk about racism and to parody racism. And so the racism just slaps you in the face from the first spoken line of the film, which I believe is. Can we talk about this movie without like issuing enough racial slurs to get us banned off of every platform? I mean, I've already said one.
I don't know.
We shall obliquely reference it as the N-bomb. That's what we shall do.
Well, yeah, but it's not just the N-bomb. Like, the first line is a slur about Asian people.
Oh, that's right.
Duck that guy.
Right.
Racial slur against Chinese people.
Right.
Days pay for napping on the job. Like, that's the first spoken line of the movie. Like, you're watching these railroad workers work, and this Chinese railroad worker collapses, and the first spoken line is, dock him a day's pay for napping on the job. And that's pretty much the way the rest of the movie goes. Just full racism, full hard, right in your face, no break, ever. To the point where it's so horrible and so ridiculous that you can't help but start laughing.
Sure. Well, I think he's trying to make the point that it is inherently ridiculous. Like, and I mean, the antagonists in Blazing Saddles are freaking stupid.
Oh, yeah.
They are just not very smart people at all. They also happen to be like completely racist, and also like the townspeople, that the sheriff is essentially trying to save, they're not too bright either.
They're not too bright.
They're also racist.
They're also racist, but they're not as racist. They're not as committed to it.
Yeah.
Well, they also kind of need him, so...
They need him, and they're also, like, willing to overlook that and be like, you know what, we kind of like you. We're sorry we were mean. Please stay. Okay, everybody, we're gonna do what the black sheriff tells us to do, okay, guys?
Please 3 years time, you might even say hello to you during the daylight.
I ain't gonna hold my breath.
I love the bit where he meets Gene Wilder's character. And he's like, "Are we awake? Yes.
We think so.
We think so.
We think so.
Are we black? Yes." We're like,
then we're awake, but very confused.
We're very puzzled. Blazing Saddles is my favorite Gene Wilder performance. He doesn't scream once.
Yeah.
He's great. He goes exact opposite from what he normally does. He plays it cool and low-key, and he actually wasn't supposed to be in this movie. Originally, Mel Brooks offered it to John Wayne. John Wayne said, "It's not really my cup of tea." He said, "It's a little blue for me. Not really the kind of thing that I would do. But I'll be first in line to buy a ticket when it comes out." And I think he did end up saying it was a good movie and he liked it a lot, but he wasn't quite ready for that. Incidentally, since we're on that point, I want to point out something that I realized, that John Wayne was still a leading actor in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. A guy who got his big break in 1939. A guy who was old enough to hang out with Wyatt Earp and based most of his Western persona on him. And he's still a big star in the 70s. How many guys who were stars in the 30s and 40s were still stars in the 70s?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of one. So, John Wayne. Anyway, and I think some other guy, hilariously, was originally cast to play the Frisco Kid, but he collapsed during initial shooting.
Oh.
Because he was going through alcohol withdrawal.
Ooh. Ouch.
A little on the nose there.
Yeah, little on the nose. Little on the nose. A little too method.
The thing I remember about Blazing Saddles is I saw I either saw or read an interview with Mel Brooks, and he was like, "Yeah, so we were going to do 1874 like it was 1974," and that was like he encapsulated like the whole premise of the movie in like that one sentence. And I thought it was brilliant. I sort of almost thought that like some of what was going on with the sheriff was almost like a blaxploitation kind of characterization or character. Like there were definitely traces of that, because that was, I mean, those were contemporary films with from that in that decade.
I mean, dude did have Gucci saddlebags. I mean,
he had Gucci saddlebags. He's a great character, Sheriff Bart, in that movie. He has a wonderful arc, because he's one of the railroad workers, and he gets stuck in a
quicksand.
Yep, quicksand.
And they hold out the cart.
No, that's lucky. We almost lost us a $20 hand cart.
It's so awful.
We're not going to lose any horses. Send a couple of the N-words.
The N-bomb, yeah.
N-bombs. One of those lines that you can't replicate, because it's exactly doing that. Like, here's some racism. And it's not like it's far removed from the reality of 1874.
Not at all.
No.
They're not overdoing 1874. They're just showing you, just as you said, Mike, they're showing you 1874 and 1974, and there's this shock, and then you just start laughing. Because what choice do you have?
Yeah, because it was really bad.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was awful that kind of full-on hostility existed.
Yeah. Well,
and prevented
dehumanizing. So
sure.
Yeah. But no, it was one of the things that I always think is kind of funny is in Blazing Saddles. One of the actors is Slim Pickens. Yeah, and he was the only other movie I think I've ever actually seen him in was Dr. Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick movie. It's like pair of nylons, and it just like goes through the list of like, I could have a good weekend in Vegas with this stuff.
You know what's great about that line is initially the line was a fellow could have a good time in Dallas, and it was 1964, and they changed it because it was just after President Kennedy was assassinated.
Right.
Fellow could have a good time in Dallas with this, and then we're not talking.
Yeah,
we're not talking about Dallas. We don't talk about Dallas. But yeah, Slim Pickens is great in that. There's just wonderful pieces of absurdity in there.
Hey, Taggart, you want some beans? I think you've had enough. The fart scene's gregreat. I mean,
he had to fight so hard to keep that in the movie. Like, all that farting. 1974 was a different time, apparently. He had to fight for that. He had to fight for all the uses of the N-bomb.
Well, he'd have to do that now, too. So, I mean, that
well, yeah.
Different reason, but yeah.
Yeah. But there's so much he had to fight to keep in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the standard line about Blazing Saddles is you couldn't make it today. And I think that's true.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's true, and also I think it wouldn't be necessary to make that movie today.
No.
Because what's the message of the film? Racism is absurd and bad. It's like, yeah, you might need to like shove that point along in 1974, but today, kind of all on that page. So
one would like to think.
One would like to think. I mean, human nature being what it is, but it's a different world from 1974, and
that is true.
It's a different world from 1874, and there are advantages to be gained from that.
I just love one of the, and because this is a scene that I totally got when I was a kid, and it was the Mongo and the Candygram scene. Candygram for Mongo.
It's pure Looney Tunes logic. Pure Looney Tunes logic. A bomb goes off and it makes his face black, and then he takes a nap. Like that's wonderful.
Mongo is
even had to invent the Candygram, but they won't even give me credit for that.
Mongo just pawned in Game of Life.
Great Game of Life. Yeah.
The movie does a wonderful job of letting you not take it too seriously. You know, all the Western bits
itself.
are all unserious, so that you can focus in on the thing that is serious, and so we can have a bunch of jokes and a whole lot of chaos, like the exploding candygram, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, why that? Why that? Because it's absurd. Because it's chaotic. It's not what you expect, so it just keeps everything going. Why does Mungo punch a horse? Why not? It's hilarious.
Why does Schwarzenegger punch a camel in Conan? I mean,
Yep.
the answer is the finest Stygian black lotus. Now, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I have declared one day I shall be that messed up that I will punch a damn camel.
I wish you Godspeed in that endeavor. That sounds wonderful.
It does. It does.
I've eaten camel.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, there's this gastropub pub in Baltimore that specializes. Say what?
Abbey Burger?
Abbey Burger, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Abbey Burger Bistro, and they have all kinds of weird meat, and one of them was camel, so I had a camel.
I'll have to go to Abbey Burger. I'll take the wife. Go check that out.
Yeah, I had alligator bites. Alligator bites. Yeah.
Those are
very good.
Gator is very good.
And camel was delicious. I mean, I don't mind eating anything that's been a mammal at some point, you know, even a reptile. I won't eat dog.
Nah.
Well, dog is a filthy animal.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, pig is a filthy animal, but pig is a tasty, filthy animal.
That's true.
But I've never known a dog. I've never known a pig to eat cat shit, but I've known a dog to eat cat shit. I own cats. I'm gonna tell you right now that there is nothing appetizing to come from that ever.
No, I'm not eating cat either.
No, you shouldn't. The cats are the kind of carnivores that are not going to taste good.
No.
Well, it's also like, I mean, a camel is arguably like a domesticated animal, or livestock, if you will. So like, and people have been eating them for hundreds of years.
I've had bear. Bear is good. Bear is very good.
Well, bears are omnivores.
They're omnivores, yeah.
I think the general rule is you don't eat carnivores.
You don't eat pure carnivores now.
Because carnivores are, you know, they're wherever their spot is, like their meat is, you know, they're processing meat off of meat, and so it's not going to be.
You would think double meat would be good, but no,
it's not going to have the richness that you need. Whereas a bear is an omnivore, so I hear bear is gamey, but otherwise you can eat it.
Oh, gamey. Yeah.
It's usually also fatty enough, though, that if you cook it long enough, it won't dry out. So you can. Yeah.
Then there are other creatures that, even though they're not carnivores, you really can't get full nutrition out of them, like rabbits.
No.
Yeah, eating rodents is really not the way to go for humans. You can do it, but it's not going to sustain you in the long term.
No.
You need those big ruminants.
You need to ruminate over the ruminants.
You need to ruminate over the ruminants. How did we get here?
Mongo punched a horse.
Mongo punched a horse. Chaos. And of course, Blazing Saddles ends in the most chaotic manner possible. Like they just completely throw everything away, and it just becomes this giant fight on a movie set, which I also feel like is a meta dialogue about something.
Probably
fighting his way through the movie set to finish his movie.
Yep.
You know, I feel like he's saying things that aren't said, and from what I've read here, Blazing Saddles was not well received by the studio the first time it was shown. They were like, all right, so we're just gonna can this and take the loss, right? That's what we're gonna do. But they managed to get showings in New York and LA, and it took off well enough so that people were able to do it.
Yeah. It's a good flick.
It's
good flick.
It's wonderful. It's the one that I've got a Blu-ray copy of it, and every time I watch it, it just keeps getting funnier.
Yeah.
Because there's wonderful things in it that just keep popping up, and wonderful pieces of chaos that just keep popping up. And with no reason of them. So it doesn't have that thing where it's like, here's the joke coming, beep, 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 ding, 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 joke coming in. You know, it just smacks you in the face.
I think it's one of his best paced films.
Yeah.
If not the best.
Yes. it's constantly moving. It's constantly refreshing. It never settles down and gets too weary. There's always something new happening.
Yeah, it's just and interestingly enough, the if I remember properly, the TV cut has a few scenes the actual theatrical cut don't.
Huh.
I did not know that.
Mhm.
Interesting.
I can't remember the specific scenes, but actually, I think I was watching. It was your DVD copy at your place, Mike.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
watching it, and at the end of it, it had this on the special features like, here's some scenes that were altered or changed or added for the
That's right.
Okay.
TV cut.
Right.
I should check out my Blu-ray then. There might be some stuff
Yeah,
on there.
Like, I remember watching it on it was either like TBS or TNT, years ago, and it was definitely edited in some ways. Like I can't recall all of it now because more recently I've just watched it on DVD, so it's like it hasn't been adulterated. But yeah, it was definitely, there were some cuts and some things that were made. Like the campfire fart scene, for example, they actually muted, so you don't actually hear any of the flatulence, which I thought was kind of like,
That's lame.
which I thought was kind of strange.
Well,
I
you
don't-
just see guys lifting their butts in the air and
Yeah.
for no purpose. It just looks like a kick line. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That is a different type of absurdity. I'm like, well, think about the children. Children know what farts are, okay?
Children
I'm gonna
love
tell
farts. You kidding me?
children love farts, okay?
I have 2 kids. Like, they love farts. That's the funniest thing in the universe to them.
Yep.
My
Yeah.
father loved farts. Also very good at producing them.
Yeah, same. As am I.
Farts are funny.
They are.
Farts, I don't know why there's something that people would feel the need to have to edit out, because I'm like, okay. Okay, look, you can see a pile of crap in a movie. You can't see someone actively taking that dump, but it can be there.
It's just crass.
Yeah.
It's just crass. That's all it is. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, it's like, you have to ask that question is to ask why the 4-letter words are dirty. And
Well, that's
the answer is because they're Anglo-Saxon.
yeah, for the most part.
You can say the same thing in Latin and you're fine.
It's all about
Thank you, William the Conqueror.
yeah. I don't know. I think people sometimes worry overly about things of no consequence, because some past gas is literally of no consequence.
It's literally of no consequence. People are afraid of what comes next. If you allow this, what comes next?
Well,
And
as you get older, you can no longer trust those farts, and what comes next can be quite the disaster.
Exactly.
Personally.
So you have to be wary around farts. You have to be careful. They
They're
are
untrustworthy.
they are
I think sometimes people just take whatever's present in a film or in some form of media, and they look at it like it's a slide, like, oh, well, this is, or an escalation, where not necessarily. Like, maybe maybe this is just the joke.
yeah.
So it's not everything is going to like escalate or like cause things to
It's
slide.
like, think about the children. I'm like, why are your children watching Blazing Saddles? Okay,
That's
Right,
the real question. Like, I'm not going to let my kids watch that. No way. There's way too much in there that is not for them.
there's a lot of explaining, if you have particularly inquisitive children, that you have to do with Blazing Saddles.
No,
I'm
not doing it. I'm not doing it. Young Frankenstein, maybe, with the older one. She would probably enjoy Young Frankenstein, but I still might not for a year or two, because there's still some references to things that she's been like, "What's that, Daddy?" I was like, "I'll tell you later. I'll tell you when you're older."
Daddy is not comfortable broaching this subject with you at this
No,
juncture in time,
thank
and
you.
I will let you know when that time comes, probably into your 3rd year of marriage. But
Never mind, honey. Let's watch another Kurosawa movie. Samurai, they're fighting. It's great. They had fun with the Hidden Fortress, by the way.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun with it. And Nora's like, wow, this even looks like Star Wars. I'm like, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. It's weird how certain shots are composed the same way. God bless you, George
I'm kind of
Lucas.
surprised.
You feel like a thief.
I'm kind of surprised that Mel Brooks never took on the samurai or kung fu genre.
I think they were too niche.
Possibly.
I mean,
I just think he didn't have any like real experience or understanding
that's
of it.
probably what it comes down to. It. He was very much from the vaudeville school of.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So everything he does is something where vaudeville would touch at some point, or the silent films in that era. Like that's why he did silent movie. It's an homage to the Buster Keaton thing. So he's familiar with that. He knows that. He loves that, so he can parody that. You can only parody something if you love it.
It's true.
It's true. And
you have to understand it. Go ahead.
No, for sure. And I mean, I thought that was what actually, like, I don't think it's his best movie, but I still enjoy watching it when it's on, is Spaceballs.
Yeah.
He obviously had seen both Star Wars and Star Trek, and all of the other, like the Alien obviously gets a shout out in there. But he had seen all of these, and he understood what he was lampooning very well, and and that's sort of what makes him a great sort of maker of parody, is because he really does dig in, and he knows what it is that he's making fun of. Like he's familiar enough with it to land the jokes. Sure.
And Star Wars itself is like, we were just talking about Kurosawa, but it's Star Wars is basically Kurosawa plus Flash Gordon.
Yeah in a lot of ways.
I mean, so Mel Brooks would have also understood the old Flash Gordon serials and what was being done there. So like I think a lot of Spaceballs, the plot looks less like Star Wars and more like a Flash Gordon serial.
Yeah.
When you look at the plot, it's like, here's bad emperor doing bad thing to good people, and here's hero coming to save the day. It's a lot less apocalyptic than Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Like, the Death Star threatens the whole galaxy. This is just like, sucking the air out of one planet with a maid.
Yep.
The vacuum cleaner.
Suck. Rick Moranis is a stand-in for Darth Vader. That's just really good casting.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That was one of the best Rick Moranis roles ever.
For sure. That
whole bit, because he's wonderfully pathetic. Like, all the villains are wonderfully pathetic in Spaceballs, and that's what makes it great.
No, sir. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again.
Your helmet is so big.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. Let's see how you use
it. Yeah. That's kind of the last good one. That's the last good one is Spaceballs. It hits right. It's still funny.
We ain't found shit.
Again, why is that line there? What does it add to the movie? Why is it necessary? No reason. It's just there. Just enjoy it.
Great sight gag too. Comb the desert.
Comb the desert. Right. They do call attention to it just a little bit. Is this what we're supposed to be doing? No, you idiot. We're following orders. He said comb the desert. We're combing the desert.
Guys found anything? Nope.
I actually referenced that the other day when I was playing in D&D, and I rolled real low on my investigate, and I looked over and said, I ain't seen shit.
You ain't found shit. Oh man.
Damn, it's that Lone Star. He jammed our radar. Raspberry jam. Damn it.
It gives me the raspberry. That's a joke I didn't get when I first saw it, and I was a kid, and I got it later. the raspberry. Yeah. And also Spaceballs makes a terrifying prophetic point about the nature of the movie industry.
Mm.
He kind of cut Star Wars on a level that
Merchandising,
where the real money of the movie is made. And
For Lucas, that was very true with the first movie.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I mean, he's really cutting right to the fact that, like, saying, look, this is a business. This particular film saga is a business, and it exists to merchandise to you. And you know, however many years ago that was, like, actually, I think Spaceballs is 35 years old at this point.
Oh,
That was
God.
1987.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
I guess
feel
so.
old.
1987. Yeah, feel old. Feel old.
Mm.
Take a moment. Feel old.
I mean, I already do, but yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
same. And Star Wars still pretty much exists to merchandise to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I
gonna
mean,
lie.
yeah, it's
Like they got that Galactic Hotel now, and
I was just gonna say.
I've heard some reviews of that experience. It is not worth the $6,000 I hear at all.
Oh, it's not weird.
They have space bingo apparently.
Space bingo.
Yeah, you end up playing bingo in Hut Ease.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me sad inside.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's all just merchandising. It's all like, there's no reason that they should still be making Star Wars films at this stage of the game, but they are.
They make money.
They
make money.
They make money, but there's no. They only do it for that reason. There's no art. There's nothing to say anymore. They have no.
The main films, I am apt to agree with you, but I am going to have to say a lot of the miniseries and TV serialized stuff does have something to say and is generally a superior story-wise, because you can tell a lot of story when you've got, like, say, 6 hours that you break up into 6 episodes.
Sure,
you can do a lot with that.
The Mandalorian is a lot less rushed.
Yeah.
You know, not like Rise of Skywalker, which was entirely rushed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. So I think those are working better, but overall, it's like, you know, why does this exist? And exists for the same reason that Mel Brooks was trying to tell us in 1987, because merchandising, and it's even when they were making Return of the Jedi,
yeah,
they had already stopped caring. You can tell. You can tell how much they don't care. The only person who cares in Return of the Jedi is Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
He's trying really hard, and everyone else is like, pay check.
Yep.
So,
and I think Carrie Fisher was just kind of like, yeah, I still want to have a career after this. Thanks. You know.
Yeah.
I think what's his name, Harrison Ford. It started doing the Indiana Jones movies, but it's not like he had a ton of films under his belt at that point, you know, in his career. So, I mean, you could kind of tell that both of them were over it. Like, they were ready to go, like, hey, so I'm an actor now, and I'd really like to go do something else, you know.
Yeah, I need to do something else, anything else. I don't want to do this anymore. And George Lucas didn't want to do it anymore.
He didn't.
And so it really just became this thing that exists for its own reason as a merchandising. That's really all it is. Merchandising. Mel Brooks is a prophet.
There's a lot of money to be made off of lightsabers, man. A lot of money to be made off of lightsabers. Oh, dude, I've seen custom handmade ones for like $1,000 easy. It ain't even cheap to build your own one. I mean, parts-wise, if you want to have electronics and all the good shit, it gets a little expensive. To actually build the hilt, pretty fucking cheap, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, but like, you can't, like, it's not like a lightsaber, is it? It's not a real lightsaber.
It's not a real lightsaber. No one has a real... Well, okay. It's not feasible to have a real lightsaber.
No, then what is the point?
The point is you got a glowy stick that makes noises that you swing around, that you don't have to make the noises yourself or pretend that the blade is there because it's there and it's lit up.
Man, that's fun.
And lightsabers are fucking
Is
cool,
it
man.
though?
Yes, it is.
Is it though?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You're talking about who's built his own goddamn lightsaber, right?
All right, I'm backing off.
Mike's seen it.
You do you.
Yeah.
I'm yeah. Okay.
It don't work anymore because the electronics are way too
No,
old.
I saw when it was working. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's low tech compared to what they make now. They got better technology for the illumination.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you mostly put it together yourself, which is the part that I was impressed by. Like,
I didn't have a 3D printer, but I
that.
did have a Dremel and some PVC tubing and parts from a hardware store and glue and paint. So there you go. It's amazing what you can do with the mines. And most of the props from Star Wars were made from cast off shit anyway, and World War II guns.
Mm.
A lot of World War II guns.
Okay.
Han Solo's blaster, I think, is from a Mauser of a particular make.
It is. It's a broom handle.
Handle, yeah.
Very obviously a Mauser broom handle.
With stuff glued on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always with the stuff glued on.
Yeah.
Everything in Star Wars is a thing with bullshit glued to it.
Oh, so it's like steampunk. No, anyway. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is exactly. It's more subtle. It's more subtle steampunk, but yes.
Star Wars is the origin of steampunk.
Steampunk is just a bunch of bullshit you painted copper and bronze and glued a bunch of gears to in an array that the gears don't even mesh with each other. So what the fuck are these gears even doing? But
steampunk is Star Wars but nerdier. I love it.
I mean, at least with Star Wars, it's like, oh, well, they're high-tech gobbledygook that does this shit that we don't understand. Whereas steampunk is using old tech to do shit we don't understand, but it's kind of, you're like, well, I can't suspend my disbelief because gears are supposed to mesh with something in turn. And if they don't do that, then they're not there for anything, and they're just fucking decoration.
Yeah.
I think half... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think half the point of steampunk is dressing up in a Victorian garb and adding some cool goth stuff to it.
Steampunk is what happened when goths discovered the color brown.
Right, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like, it's retro. What do you call it? Retro futurism. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's an interesting concept.
Steampunk, diesel punk, atomic punk,
yep.
Jet punk. This is all stuff from our cyberpunk episode. We're just repeating riffs now.
It's true.
Just like Mel Brooks.
So let's so we talked a little bit about Men in Tights, but like you guys don't seem to be like super about the movie. Like, I
enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not his best.
I don't think it's his best for sure. Like, I enjoyed it, but like, do I watch it like once a year?
It's funny. It has great moments in it. There's stuff that's really enjoyable, and there's also stuff that's really irritating.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly he's, as a director and especially as an editor, he's on the decline. But there are still jokes that snap. And I can enjoy Men in Tights. I mean, I think the musical number, the title song alone is worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
We're men.
We're men in tights. Tight.
Like, that's
running around the forest looking for fights. We're men in tights. We rob from the rich and give the poor. That's right.
Yeah. We may look like pansies.
But what did you say? Or we'll punch out your lights.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It evolves into a can.
It's the vaudeville again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think Men in Tights is fine. If it was tightened up a little more, it would be on the same level as Spaceballs.
Sure.
And now I realize something. A lot of Mel Brooks stuff, or some of the better Mel Brooks stuff, have good musical numbers in them.
Yeah.
Like funny, good, like History of the World. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into History of the World in a second.
We'll do that one.
But yes, Men in Tights next. Men in Tights is great for that.
It's got that nice little cameo at the end with Patrick Stewart. I like that as King Richard, and he's like, "It's good to be the king." I'm like,
yeah. See, that's what I don't like, because he's just repeating riffs. You know, they do the same thing where like Dave Chappelle's like he's gonna make him a sheriff in Nottingham. They're like, a black sheriff. It worked in Blazing Saddles.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's okay. I get it. It's fun when Patrick Stewart shows up just because he's Patrick Stewart and he's having a good time. Much more than that, I enjoyed Dick Van Patten as the Abbot.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, back.
Good morning, Abbott. Good morning, Abbott. Good morning, Abbott. Hey, Abbott!
I hate that guy.
I hate that guy. I love it. That's a much funnier joke to me. It's also referencing something, but I like that one better than the
Dom DeLuise in it was pretty good.
Oh God.
I
forgot Dom DeLuise is in that movie. Dom DeLuise.
Wowee!
Dom DeLuise doing his best Marlon Brando from The Godfather.
Oh yeah. He's
like,
he's
I
having
was wadding in my mouth. He like pulls out the cotton balls.
Wait a minute, I missed the shot. Wait a minute, where's the script? That's
he gets another shot. Yep. Good times. Yeah, there's some really good stuff in Men in Tights. Cary Elwes is great.
Yeah,
in the lead role. He's very, he's doing the best Errol Flynn impression that has ever been done since Errol Flynn. He
and also calling back.
He moves doing the sword fighting scenes with that same fluidity and grace. He's just off of well, not just off of, but
Princess Bride. He's calling back to some of his action from there.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's great. The guy as the sheriff of Rottingham is fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everyone's great in this except Richard Lewis.
No, he's not very
good. Unfortunately. And I like Richard Lewis, but he's not great in that film, unfortunately.
Oh God, he hurts. He sucks.
And that was around the time that he was in a sitcom with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
That I remember. Mad About You, I think it was.
No, it was
No, that's not Richard.
It wasn't Mad About You. It was
and it wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis. That was
I think it was Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, it's not Jamie Lee Curtis. It's
Mad About You was not Jamie Lee Curtis. It was Paul Reiser and what's her name?
Paul Reiser and what's her name? Damn it. She was the same woman from As Good as It Gets. I can't remember her name.
But Ellen Barkin or something like that.
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt. There you go.
Helen Hunt.
But Richard Lewis was in a sitcom with Jamie Lee Curtis that was very similar.
Okay.
Let
me look this up while we're doing this. Filmography, television, Anything But Love.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that was it.
That ran for 56 episodes.
Yeah. Wasn't bad, man. Wasn't bad. He was real funny in it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was good. He was good in that. And I saw some of his, stand up back in the day, and he was a funny guy. I enjoyed it. So it was kind of
that role as Prince John honestly was written for what's his name? We were just talking about him because he had been in Blazing Saddles and Dr. Frankenstein.
Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder. Because the character's hysterical. Think about it. He's a nervous wreck and kind of hysterical, which is the type of character that Gene Wilder played many times.
True.
It's a Gene Wilder type of role.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit Richard Lewis very well. It's way more anxiety ridden and hysterical than he typically played it.
Yeah, he was just so mirthless. And you can see him I'm being the nervous guy and glad and I just hate him.
Well, I felt like he kind of phoned it in, which was
he
sad.
might have. Yeah. He might have. And
But Gene Wilder was taking a hiatus from really doing anything at the time because he was still mourning Gilda Radner.
Yeah. Um,
But that's really kind of a role that he would have. It sounds more like a role that was really written more for someone else, and Richard Lewis just ended up being in it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that before. That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, and they had little like the sight gag of his beauty mark keeps moving, which is kind of funny, but
that is actually his only funny line, where he just looks. I have a mole. It's the only time he's funny. It's the only time. Other than that, he's just terrible. And
Tracy Ullman does a pretty good job in it.
Tracy Ullman's great. They're all great except for him, and I think the editing needs to if he tightened it up a little more.
Yeah.
The jokes, the pacing would have been better. If the pacing was better, it would be as good as Spaceballs. That's my verdict on Men in Tights. I also like Amy Yazbek.
Yeah, no, she was great. As Maid Marian.
She was also in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the Mina character in Dracula Dead and Loving It. We'll talk about that one in a minute.
History of the World.
History of the World.
The only Mel Brooks film that's really like this, because it's just like a series of vignettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them are really short. Like the whole Old Testament is one joke.
Yeah.
I bring you 15. 10 commandments.
More all to obey. And again, like the joke just goes right through him and he doesn't miss a beat. And that's what makes it great. So that
they spent a lot of time on the Roman Empire. They definitely
a lot of time on the Roman Empire, a lot of time on the French Revolution. Those are the two big plot elements, and the Spanish Inquisition is one song and dance number.
The Inquisition, here we go. The Inquisition, let's start the show. We bet you wishing that you'd go away.
We're on a mission to convert the Jews.
Talk him out. Listen, you can't talk him out of anything.
Oh man!
I don't even know them, and they grab me by the scrotum. Oh, the agony! Oh, the shame! To make my privates public for a game?
And then it goes right into like swimming nuns, and it's send in the nuns. Hey, Takamata, what do you say? I just got back from the order to pay.
Order to pay? What's an order to pay? It's what you ought to have done, but you did anyway.
It's you know what? I'm gonna say it. That's a whole lot funnier than Monty Python's Spanish Inquisition bit.
Yeah. It is.
It is. It's a whole lot funnier, and it bugs me a little bit that it's not better known, because it's this huge number. And every minute of it is gold. Every second of it is gold. And people just be like, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. I get it. Sure. That's not my favorite Python bit.
No.
Nah.
There's the comfy chair is funny, but, there's better Python bits.
I don't like spam.
Yeah, that's so much better.
Or the parrot skit.
Yeah. Parrot sketch, the fish slapping dance, the whole lemon curry episode where people just randomly go, it's like, lemon curry. Like, that's gold. Spanish Inquisition stuff is like, eh.
Yeah.
I'd probably like it more but the Spanish Inquisition bit from History of the World Part 1 is wonderful.
And can I say that just, the beautiful things they did with the Roman, like the one-line Oedipus joke. Hey, do you see this? Hey, motherfucker!
And it takes you a minute to get the joke, and I've had to explain it to people. I'm like, Oedipus, and then there's the guy walking through and then the light bulb goes off.
The guy walking through the square with the boombox playing Funky Town. Let me take you to Funky Town.
What is your profession? I'm a stand-up philosopher. Oh, a bullshit artist.
Bullshitter.
Have you tried to bullshit this week?
And again, Madeline Kahn, Yes. No. 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 Yes. No. 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 No.
Yes.
No.
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 No. No. No. No. No. No.
No. No. No. No. No.
Yes.
You made some very big decisions today.
He seems awfully skinny for a eunuch. What? He just got snipped. Give him some time.
I got a nice corkscrew. This is a hit crowd. So what do we do when you strike? What do you do when you strike a Roman citizen? Did it shove a live snake up his ass? No, but creative. You throw him to the lions. Oh, no, you can't throw me the lions because it's well known. Lions only eat Christians, and I am Jewish.
Yeah.
That's Ethiopian. Funny thing is, Gregory Hines looks a little Ethiopian too. So,
he probably he might be a little bit. I think it's pretty safe to say that History of the World Part 1 is his dirtiest film.
Yeah.
In terms of the where the comedy's at.
Oh yeah.
It's the sort of thing that's like the funniest thing ever when you're 13, and then after you've seen it a handful of times, you know the jokes. There's no surprises to it anymore because it's very much like setup, joke, setup, joke, setup, joke. It doesn't.
We're looking for a pack of Trojans. I just ran out.
Exactly. See, it's on that level, and it's funny. It's great.
The Vestal versions with the "Do Not Enter" sign belts across their.
I think my favorite part is still the very end of the Roman Empire part, where he does the group portrait for the Last Supper. And
Jesus, what?
And what's great about that is Jesus never loses his cool. Like, Jesus doesn't get angry and like, what is your problem, dude? He's just like, Jesus, yes.
Yes.
What? What?
What?
Yes.
Yes.
What? Yes. Jesus. Yes.
What?
He never gets angry. It's wonderful. One of you will betray me. Judas! Try the old wine. It's terrific. Go away!
And then the French Revolution. Don't get saucy with me, Benet.
Yeah. French Revolution is also very, very, very naughty, very blue. I think it's.
We don't even have a real language. We just have this terrible French like Maurice Chevalier. Whoa, ho, ho. Too poor to even have a proper language.
I think French Revolution is a little bit cleverer than Roman Empire because it's a little. It's a little bit roundabout in the way it goes about things. Not perfectly so, but there's some clever bits. Like when the old man falls onto the floor. What fool put a carpet on the wall? Louis, how do you say 16 in French? Says. Louis says you.
Count de Monet.
De Monet.
De Monet. De Monet.
Monet.
Was it Harvey Korman? Right. He was,
Harvey Korman.
I knew him mostly from the Carol Burnett show, but
he's great in this, and he's great in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
He's such a great villain in Blazing Saddles. He's so wonderfully inept and completely convinced of his own brilliance, which is just a perfect comedic villain. Where's my froggy, Taggart? Damn your eyes, find my froggy! Like that. That's just perfect, and he's great as Count de Money. Bernays.
Don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
How does my hair look dreadful? Well, fix it.
You look like a piss boy, and you look like a pile of shit.
Yeah. And then they have the miracle horse show up.
Yeah, literal running gag throughout the film.
Running gag.
Yeah.
Miracle.
Rolling papyrus. Get me some rolling papyrus. Rolling red. I am now armed with mitre joint.
Yeah. Do you care if it falls? What? The Roman Empire?
Fuck it.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like History of the World Part 1 is one of his movies that has great musical numbers, and it does. Like it's all of them are Hilarious.
Yeah,
So-
Jews in space.
Yeah.
Word to
Jews in space.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's just marvelous. Viking funeral, which is just one.
Hitler on
one-
ice.
Coming off, there's the horn still. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Hitler on ice, which is just again a sort of joke that wouldn't land today because I don't know. Do we still do like ice capades and stuff anymore?
I don't.
That's
Yeah, I don't
what
think it's a thing.
It might be Disney on ice. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, just gonna say, figure skating's not as big as it used to be. You know.
Nope.
I guess not. I guess not. Hey, wait a minute. Hugh Hefner is in Ancient Rome?
He probably just does a cameo as himself, most likely. I think
It
that's.
says entrepreneur. I've not noticed it. Maybe because I don't know Hugh Hefner by sight.
I kind of remember it. Oh, because he's explained the idea of a centerfold to a Roman girl.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Dom DeLuise also in that film.
What is Don? Oh, he's Nero.
Yes.
I forgot about that. Did he say big fat pig?
Yes, sire.
Did he mean me?
I think so, sire.
Half of Rome is either cooking or puking. Brunch, brunch, brunch.
We Romans, we have gods for everything. Everything except the god of premature ejaculation. But I hear that's quickly coming.
Ah, dun, 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 dun. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I think that just pretty much leaves us.
Did you want to talk about Dracula Dead and Loving It, or?
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I think we have to because I'm gonna have to revisit what I said earlier and say that it's. I still say it's funnier than High Anxiety.
Because it made you laugh once.
It made me laugh. It made me laugh once. It had one really solid joke, and it has one clever take on the vampire trope. It does some funny things with the vampire mind control stuff. Like it actually makes some jokes about that and has fun with it. Especially the scene where he keeps like trying to direct her, Mina, around the room, and she keeps tripping over stuff, and she ends up in the closet, and like there's a thing there. There's a thing there.
I feel casting Leslie Nielsen was sort of like a shout out to Christopher Lee's Hammer Films Dracula.
Oh, most definitely. It's like we need somebody who looks like enough like Christopher Lee for this to work. And Leslie Nielsen, he was still doing the
Naked Gun movies. Yep.
He was on I think he was in Forbidden Planet.
Yeah. I think
You know, it's funny. We were talking about John Wayne, but Leslie Nielsen had a good run.
Oh yeah.
Mostly in B movie stuff, but he had a good run once he found his niche as being the guy that the joke goes through.
Right.
Because I think he was in the film that Airplane was based off of.
Oh.
0 Hour.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Because Airplane was in the that was a serious film, and Airplane was basically a parody of that.
Right.
And all the other like airport disaster movies.
Yeah, Lloyd Bridges was in Airplane, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Did.
But yeah, I mean, Dracula Dead and Loving It is it's not especially clever.
No.
The problem with Dracula Dead and Loving It is the jokes. The jokes really don't land. Because
it doesn't work as well as like Frankenstein many years before.
No, and
it maybe would have had the potential to do so. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of, as we have discussed, there's a lot of comedy to get out of vampires.
Oh, there is
a lot of comedy to get out of vampires.
Absolutely.
And this is a direct attempt to do that by a guy who was very good at making parodies. Well, for some reason, the writing in this is just not like there's that one good the gynecologist joke, and then there's they do fun things with vampire mind control, just basic gags with it.
Sure.
But everything else is just like we're British, no sex, please.
Right.
And you kind of have to have seen, like, this is like 2 years after Bram Stoker's Dracula, 3 years after. You kind of have to have seen that to get it, and they don't really do anything clever with the material.
Yeah, no. And
they would have done better to go more off of the Bela Lugosi Dracula, I think.
Well, I think
they should have pulled in more because I mean the 1990s Gary Oldman, Francis Ford Coppola Dracula was like the 20th or 30th film adaptation of Dracula. I mean,
sure. Anthony Hopkins is an absolutely mad fucking Van Helsing. It was delightful.
But I'm saying, like, there were so many other film versions that they could have, but they could have also drawn from each, with their different takes and idiosyncrasies and things like that.
Hammer Films begs to be made fuck fun of.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's you can tell that they're trying not to crack up in some of the Hammer films. Like, you're like, oh, this is the one where they were like grimacing the least. So, like, all right, print it, But
yeah, but this is I don't know. It's just they don't do anything really interesting with the material. There's no chaos.
Yeah,
you know where this is going, and maybe it's because they're doing a Dracula thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, what this has to do. We have to find Dracula. We have to bring him to London. He has to, there's always two girls. There's a Mina and a Lucy, and sometimes Mina's the one that gets turned into a vampire, and Lucy's the one that he's after, and sometimes it's the reverse. And we have to hit all of these notes, so there's no chance of this ending in a giant gay dance number the way Blazing Saddles does.
Right.
And with vampires, the potential is really there.
Yeah. It's just not very creative at all. It's not terrible.
No, if you're gonna go off on you at least got one really good Little Red Riding Hood-esque grandma what big teeth you have, because Dracula in Bram Stoker's turns into a big wolf looking thing.
Sure.
You got at least a joke then there. You got an easy one at that.
I mean, I agree with you guys where it's just there wasn't enough chaos. There wasn't, and there was sort of the absence of any of like the farcical elements that really, I feel like his best movies are where you have some farce and you have some parody and you kind of put them both together and then you get the film. And that one just didn't have any real farce. It was very much a direct parody of the Francis Ford Coppola movie without.
I also feel, now that I think about it, the better Mel Brooks movies have some social commentary in that chaos and farce.
Usually, yeah.
Like, think about it. They're definitely there in Blazing Saddles. Definitely there in History of the World.
I don't know about that. I mean,
think about the Inquisition specifically, man. Like, we're going to take something that's really fucked up and make you laugh at it.
I could see that.
And
I see where you're going. I see where you're going from, but to me, History of the World is just like a series of like fart and sex jokes.
Well, I think he was specifically trying to make fun of the, like the big, from like the golden age.
The Hollywood Sandal epic.
The history epics and things like that. Like
he was definitely doing that. Like he was definitely doing that.
Those Chuck Heston movies, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit. I just think there's a distinct lack of chaos. Like in Spaceballs, there's that wonderful moment where they catch their stunt doubles.
Yeah.
These are not them! You've captured their stunt doubles! And it's, again, one of those things that you don't see coming, but it looks great. And all the stunt doubles are all like ugly bearded dudes, even the ones playing women. they're standing around going, what the hell are we even doing here? Like they just look bored and irritated. And I'm convinced that he just cast actual stunt doubles in those roles. Because why else would you do that?
Seems likely.
Yeah. So like there's still bits of chaos in Spaceballs, but with Robin Hood and Dracula, it's just straight parody.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really what there is to do it. And parody's hard to do, as I said, because you have to be intimately familiar with it to do it a good job of it, and your audience has to be intimately familiar with it in order for them to find it funny. It's why I don't laugh at High Anxiety.
Mm.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, if the audience isn't familiar with what you're parodying, then you have to explain shit, and that just makes it fall. Nothing is worse than a joke you have to explain.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like I'll make an offhand comment to my wife that's funny as fuck if you know what the hell I'm talking about, but she'll look at me like I'm from Mars, not an uncommon thing, right. And I'd be like, I could explain it, but then it would not be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I do go to explain it with the full expectation. Well, there should be no joy or laughter in this now because I had to explain it.
Yeah. High Anxiety, I don't. It doesn't work for me because I think like he's trying to parody too many things and shove in too many Hitchcock scenes.
Yeah,
and he doesn't add that farce element that elevates it into madness. So I think we found a leitmotif.
Yeah,
I think we found a leitmotif. Whereas Silent Movie, he's not even really parodying anything. It's just madness.
Yeah.
It's just madness because they're trying to make a silent movie in the 1970s. And so they make a silent movie about making a silent movie, and that's just ridiculous. And it's got a...
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say, if anything, he's lampooning like the filmmaking process, right?
Sure. Exactly. Speaking of good parodies of the filmmaking process, you know what I watched last night? Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix consistently, and I watch it all the time. And I that one has really grown on me.
Okay.
Because they're definitely lampooning like the golden age of Hollywood, like the 50s Hollywood, and a lot of stuff that they weren't even making in the 50s anymore, like those water nymph things that they weren't making in the 50s anymore.
No,
but they still have
singing videos or whatever.
Yeah. And like singing cowboys, which weren't a thing in the 50s anymore. Like that was a Gene Autry thing. That was like the 30s.
Okay.
But it's a fun movie, and it's really funny. There's some great character play, and some really nice. There's a really good dancing sailor tap dancing bit that has some subtext that stops being subtext near the end. It starts on as subtext and then just kind of comes out. And, George Clooney gets kidnapped by communists and has to get rescued by a Western Star. And the Western Star is played by Alden Ehrenreich, who's the best thing in the movie because he just plays the whole thing totally straight as this incredibly earnest dork. And they try to get him to play like this other like comedy of manners thing, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's trying so hard to say, "Would that it were a sample," but it's a great film. If you haven't watched it, watch Hail Caesar.
All right. I'll have to do that. I am reminded that Mel Brooks' son is actually quite a good writer. Sadly, the only movie based off his work sucks balls and is nowhere near like the book, which is very good. And I oftentimes wonder, does Max Brooks, can he do comedy?
I don't know.
Because there are a couple of funny moments in the book World War Z, but they're very brief and they're not played for comedy. They're just kind of funny because terrible shit's going down.
Right. That's a good question. It says here that Max Brooks was a member of the writing team on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah, I guess he can do comedy.
2001 to 2003. I mean, he didn't do it very long.
Still,
well, let's face it, being a staff writer on Saturday Night Live is not a long-term gig for anyone.
I would hope not. He's written a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was in To Be or Not to Be. That's a Mel Brooks film we haven't talked about.
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
To Be or Not to Be?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
He didn't direct it. He just started it. He's in it with Anne Bancroft. It's a remake of a 1942 film of the same name that
Oh, wow,
had...
so his whole family's in it, his son and his wife.
Yeah, To Be or Not to Be, the original, had Carol Lombard and Jack Benny. And it's about a troupe of actors in Nazi-occupied Warsaw who use their abilities. They basically, you know, try to escape Nazi-occupied Warsaw with their acting ability. And it's based on the fact that the lead actor, played by Jack Benny, is constantly doing Shakespeare because he thinks he's a great actor, even though he's not.
Mm.
And in 1983, they did a remake of it, and Mel Brooks starred in it. It's a fun movie. My mom liked it a lot.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
It
and
sounds good.
Max Brooks is in it.
Ah.
He was a little boy. I just discovered that. I forgot about To Be or Not to Be. He didn't direct it, so it's kind of like
Yeah. Remember, he also had quite him. I can't remember the guy's full name, but he came up with the bit about the 1,000-year-old man.
1,000-year-old man. Yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with that.
Oh, it's a great bit. He did it with not Rob Reiner, some other Sid Caesar. He did it with Sid Caesar. Him and because he was on the Sid Caesar show. He's a writer for Sid Caesar, and he came up with the whole bit about the 1,000-year-old man. It's a great. Look it up on YouTube. You can find it. It is great.
Was it him and Carl Reiner, or was it Sid Caesar?
It might have been him and Carl Reiner.
Okay.
I know he got to start with Sid Caesar. Carl Reiner. There you go.
All right. I couldn't remember. Yeah, I was going through it.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's been a while. I saw some of the animations that people did like years after, that's where it's essentially syncing up with the 1,000-year-old man, and it was pretty good. I think he got a Grammy for He got a Grammy for one of the
because the comedy album based on
yeah.
I think my dad might have had it.
Okay,
it was a good one. It was good. I'm glad Mel Brooks is still with it. He ain't doing anything more, but he's 90 billion years old at this point.
He is the 1,000-year-old man at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
You're kidding me?
I mean, let him relax. Whatever keeps him going. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The man may have made a few stinkers, but by and large, he brought a lot of laughter to this world.
Hey, you know what? Even a bad Mel Brooks movie is something you'll at least watch once. Like, I might go ahead and... That's what I meant. I might go ahead and rewatch Dracula Dead and Loving It after we get to this. I might, because I only saw it once right after it came out. And I was like, this is terrible. I hate it. And, I might give it another go just to see if it's any better. It probably won't be. It's like David Lynch's Dune. You rewatch it every now and again to see, is it any better? It's not any better.
Maybe I missed something. Nope, I didn't.
Nope. No. Oh, Mel Brooks also wrote he wrote Get Smart.
Yeah, that was how.
Oh, now that makes some sense right there.
That's a good show.
My dad liked that one a lot.
My dad loved that show.
It actually still holds up. I saw a few episodes again like a few years ago, and it was actually still pretty funny.
Yeah, like that's some good writing. Some good writing and some good again, that kind of humor, like Don Adams just let the jokes go through him.
When they did what do you call it? A recent, well, it's not really recent anymore, but it was like, I think it was in the aughts. They did there was like a Get Smart movie.
I remember that.
Yeah, there were like one or two of them. Yeah, no, with yeah, I forget which. Apparently, they were all right. I don't know if I don't know if Mel Brooks was actually involved in any of those, or if they just it was borrowed the material
premise,
essentially. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, 2,000-year-old man.
2,000-year-old man.
The 2,000-year-old man. Later film career. He hasn't done anything since what? On October 8th, 2021, it was announced that Brooks would write and produce History of the World Part 2, a follow-up TV series to his 1981 movie.
I'd heard about that. I'd forgotten about it, but I'd heard about that.
I think that means it's not going to happen, which is fine by me. I like History of the World Part 2 as a joke at the end of History of the World Part 1. To me, it works better as that joke. Let's see what we got. It's ordered. Yeah, I got nothing since no announcement since October of last year.
Gotcha.
At least he didn't decide to do Spaceballs, the prequel.
Yeah, apparently there was a Spaceballs animated series that went for like 13 episodes. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Spaceballs, the animated series? That can't be real. I refuse to believe that that's real.
I mean, it's probably real. You just don't want to.
Damn it, it's real.
Probably not very good. I've not seen it, but you know, I came across it when I was.
I think we actually get to have the most rarest of Andrew exclamations, which is, "Damn it, Michael!"
Oh, now I'm
usually
mad.
it's me, but this time it's you.
Yeah, this time it's me.
Oh, and Mel Brooks wrote the pilot.
Alas, alas.
About merchandise.
Merchandising.
Merchandising. Nothing's ever really gone.
Nope.
No one's ever really gone. Oh, gee. It was on G4. That should have told you everything you needed to know.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can get for images here. I'm very curious. I must see. Oh, God.
Oh, no! That looks awful.
That looks like some college humor bullshit.
It does look like college humor. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need any of this.
This does not look like something I could watch and enjoy.
No. We're gonna close that tab and we're gonna put it on the pile of the things of Terminator movies made since 1991.
Yeah.
Things that don't exist.
Nope.
Things that
I actually did enjoy Terminator Salvation.
You be quiet.
I enjoyed it a lot.
There are no Terminator movies made since T2. There are none. They don't exist.
Also, the most recent one wasn't super ultra terrible.
They don't exist.
Dude, you're dealing with a man who has to deal with the Highlander franchise and did not think that he denies regularly. There was a movie, that was it, there was nothing else.
Then you understand and support my point of view on this, because I'm right.
There was only one.
I'm right.
There should have been only one. Like, I was in the movie theater watching some damn thing, and they were doing the prequels, and it was your Highlander 3, the Sorcerer. There could be only one. A dude stood up in the middle of the movie theater and said, there should have been only one. We all cheered.
Yeah.
Truth.
I think I'd gone with a bunch of friends to see Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, which was Star Trek 6, I guess.
That was a good one. I like that one.
That was a good one. And that was one of the, I believe that was one of the trailers was for Highlander 3. I'm like, oh, God, why are you doing this?
That was the last original series Star Trek movie, Undiscovered Country.
I believe, there was.
That was a
the
good
last
one.
one.
Klingon, Shakespeare, and the Klingon. Shakespeare's best listened to the original Klingon. I'm like, y'all are some culturally appropriating assholes right there.
Yeah. Original Klingon, like you sons of bitches.
Fuck a bunch of lobster-headed motherfuckers.
That one is as good as Wrath of Khan. I'm gonna stand on that hill.
Yeah.
It's as good as Wrath of Khan.
Oh God, yeah, man.
Wrath of Khan, Undiscovered Country, Search for Spock. The first one's okay. I don't like any of the others.
I'm just saying, from hell's heart I stab at thee.
Oh, God, so good.
I've done more than kill you. I've hurt you. And I'm going to keep on hurting you.
Maltabon chewing scenery. What else do you need? What else do you need?
Impressive as fuck. Like, yeah, I don't think you get a Star Trek movie better than 2. Like, Khan is just...
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
That's just...
And not for lack of trying. They keep making them.
Yeah.
I do.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, The Next Generation was a good show.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but every time I did watch it, I enjoyed it. I understood.
I've found the sequel series on Paramount Picard to be good. I don't know about the movies so much. The movies were.
That's my point. It's like, why couldn't they make a Next Generation film?
A good one? I don't know.
Because they're all kind of meh.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. See, that's a very good question. It's not like the actors in it don't have really good acting chops.
Right.
Like
I mean, they're all doing characters that were,
that they're very familiar with.
Exactly.
That they knew inside and out for how many episodes?
They just didn't really give them a really compelling friggin'. What made Khan work was that instead of being like, oh, there's this, like, yes, Khan would end up being a bit of a danger to the galaxy, but not that big a one, because basically the Klingons could have just ganged up on the ship he stole and busted his ass. Genesis device or no.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a one-shot pony there. They could have used it once and that would have been it.
Exactly.
Khan was a personal threat to Kirk. That's what made it work. He was a personal threat to our main cast. It was a very personal kind of movie. Instead of all the other ones which are like, oh, big galactic threat. And I think that's maybe what makes The Undiscovered Country works too, is because that was a personal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal to Kirk. The Klingons killed his son. It's personal to him.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
It's when you pull away from the personalities involved to try to make this big galactic threat to everything that you lose a lot. I think that's with any film, really. When you try to make the film about a big event, you lose a lot of the smaller stories. Because some of the better movies are about smaller stories.
Yeah, I take your point.
Yes.
I take your point.
It's hard to sort of raise the stakes in a movie for a TV series where they're pretty much every episode there's some majorly catastrophic thing that they're trying to prevent from happening.
Humans are like, oh, wait a minute, hold my beer. So what they did was they took one warp core, then they changed it then ended up in a mirror universe, grabbed all their warp cores, changed them all together, and then turned the sun into a donut.
Reverse the polarity.
This is why we bounce the graviton beam off the main deflector dish. That's the way we do things, lad. We're making shit up as we wish. The Klingons and the Romulans, they pose no threat to us. Because we find we're in a bind, we just make some shit up.
Yeah.
That's from Voltaire.
Okay.
USS Make Shit Up. It's from his Star Trek comedy album, Band on Vulcan. It also has Sexy Tango and the Klingon gangster rap.
Sounds right. Sounds glorious.
I've got it somewhere.
We have gone to a galaxy far, far away from Mel Brooks.
We have.
Boys.
Well, you know that we kind of do that.
Yeah.
If we ever stayed on topic, we might possibly have conniptions, heart attacks. I'd blow a gasket straight up.
We might be under an hour.
What are you trying to do? The Vulcan neck pinch? Idiot. What, like right here? Yeah.
Lower. Lower. If we had junk, you'd be so gay right now.
I forgot about that bit. Yeah, that's it. Good stuff.
Yes, Galaxy Quest, the best Star Trek movie ever.
Pretty much, yeah.
I haven't seen it. I've never seen Galaxy
You've
Quest.
I've
never seen Galaxy
You
Quest.
have got to see Galaxy Quest, man.
All right, man. I will make a point to see Galaxy Quest.
It is. Alan Rickman, definitely beautiful in that film. Sigourney Weaver, beautiful in that film. Tim Allen, I can take or leave. He's decent in his role of playing a douchebag, but
sure.
Sam Rockwell's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I love Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun movie. Yeah.
I will check out Galaxy Quest. You check out Hail Caesar. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. No, I want to see it. I love the Coen Brothers anyway. I've got so many other films that I still need to see, but I've seen a bunch of them already.
Ballad of Buster Scruggs is also good.
Oh, I finally got around to watching, because I mentioned this many episodes again. 555 Interstellar Story on YouTube, which was the Daft Punk album turned into an anime.
Oh,
Oh,
And I was watching with my wife. She's like, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of Sound and Fury." I said,
Not too
"In
far
some ways, yes."
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that
got around
idea.
to watching that.
All
I got
right.
around to watching that.
Put that on my list.
Nice.
Okay.
Shall we sign off?
I think
we should stick a pin in this one, certainly.
We should. We have talked about all that we're here to talk about. We are saying hail and farewell to Mel Brooks. You don't actually have to make History of the World Part 2. You're good as you are, brother. But thank you for everything.
No, for
Indeed.
Sure.
This has been Shallow and Pedantic. I am Andrew.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Kieran.
Be well, and thank you for dropping by.